Hello and welcome back to the first takes from the community. And wow, it's already the last session with the first takes from the community. And I'm super excited to be joined by Patricia Reiners today for the next 25 minutes. And she will give us an insight in Adobe Express and what you can do with it. Welcome to all of you who joined us via chat. We are back also on the Adobe Max side, so you can join directly on the Max chat, but also, of course, on the Behance chat. I will keep an eye on it, and you can ask your questions. Of course, we are live, and Patricia will answer these to you. So, Patricia, I'm excited. What are your favorite new features and things about Adobe Express?
So first of all, thanks for the nice introduction, Tanya. I'm super happy to be here. Honestly, my favorite feature is the scheduling feature. This is a huge game changer, and I think pretty cool to save some time and really focus on the fun part, which is the creation process, and not so much the scheduling, posting, and all those kind of things, right? So I really love when things really take a little bit, like, all of the work from your shoulders, and I think it's a really cool thing. I love that.
And this is a huge time saver. Yeah, that's cool.
So today I am going to talk a little bit about my favorite things in Express. Some are new, some are not that new. But I want to guide you a little bit through my process when I am creating a new post, when I'm creating new stories for my social media account. So a bit about my background. I am actually a UX designer during the day, but also a little bit a content creator. So I'm sharing... During the night, yeah. Like two jobs, kind of. And I really like to share a little bit like behind the scenes of my work, also like how my day looks like, insights from the tech industry, and I'm sharing that mostly on Instagram, a little bit on Twitter, LinkedIn as well, and I need to create social content for these kind of formats.
Yeah, and also Adobe Express is a super useful tool for professionals in the creative field because, you can schedule, you can...
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty fast create your content.
Exactly. So my background is actually graphic design. So I am I'm a trained graphic designer. Yeah. But still, I must say that I don't want to spend a lot of time sometimes on like the creation part, but more on like the exploration of designs and content. So I really like to work with templates, but I'm going to share more about that now. So I would say let's get started. My goal for the next 20 minutes or so is to create content for posts that I can share, a little bit content about Adobe Max. So I watched the keynote, I watched several sessions, and what I want to share with my community are the main insights. So what did I learn from it and what might be interesting for them? So 3 key learnings, and I want to create some content for it. We will get started with an Instagram story. So I really like to some kind of like brand my stories or the content that I'm sharing with some designs, so that everything some kind of like fits together visually and really looks like the same brand. And that can be content that I'm sharing on Twitter, that can be content on Instagram, that can be posts, stories, maybe even TikTok, so that everything is some kind of like the same design. So let's go back before we go to that space here. Like I said, I want to get started with an Instagram story. So I just click here on this little template thing. And usually, before I get started, I have a quick look at the Discover page. I really like that section because it some kind of like sparks your creativity, gives you some insights, some things you might use that are cool. So right now, I really like all the presets from the Max Creativity content. I think it's super nice. A lot of creators already prepared some content for it. And I already got an eye on this kind of template. I think it looks pretty cool. It looks very futuristic. It's pretty much already in my brand. So I'm going to use this template here. I can just double click on it as some kind of like a reference for what we are going to create here. And as you see, there is some typography here that we are going to change, because my goal is when I'm creating something that I always use my branding for sure, right? So I just clicked here on the different layers. I'm going to select the type here. First ungroup. Then I click on it. And then I'm just thinking I'm probably going to delete this section like the typography, and I'm going to add something else. I want to have some kind of like a super visual, nice headline. My top 3 insights from Adobe Max. I'm not 100% sure how it should look like, so I will just go to like the text area here and get a little bit of, let's say like inspiration. I think like phrases could be nice. I'm just clicking on more and scrolling a little bit down what could look nice. I'm going to go with this one. Don't overthink. So I just clicked on it. It's here. It's in a group. I'm just going to change it first. Change the wording. What I want to have there is the my top. So I click here in the thing, here in the little text field. My top 3 insights from Max. And my goal is that I share that in my story, to have some kind of like a visual, cool background, some kind of like a headline.
Mm-hmm. Patricia, there's already the first question coming up here. Like you are now designing some digital content. Mm-hmm. Can you also use it for high resolution print files?
Yes. You can do that. Just go through the templates. There are some templates that you can use, for example, book covers, any kind of print material that you can use for clients, books, basically everything. So there are a lot of things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. So outline is nice. And also Command C also works with this here. So I'm clicking on the colors, and what you can see here is I already added my branding here. I'm going to show you a little bit later how you can do that. But I added my branding colors here. I'm going to click on it. Outline should be a little bit bigger. My top 3 insights from Max. Cool. The overthink, I want to have like inspire there, and I want to have that in like the pinkish, nope, white. And on inspiration. Okay, my top 3 insights from Max. I will rearrange the elements here a little bit. They are all like kind of like separate, so you can just move everything around. I usually do so that I have a really cool frame. And now what I'm thinking is parts of my branding, or what I really love about like my branding, is I have a lot of like hands-on and handwritten elements. For example, this like inspiration is something that I'm using all over in my Instagram posts or on my website. So I'm also creating a lot of content with Adobe XD, sometimes things for my website, any kind of cover designs. And what is really important for me is that I can reuse basically everything that I'm doing in other Adobe tools, also in Express. So here's something, some kind of like visual elements that I designed with Fresco, uploaded here to Adobe XD to play a little bit around with it, and now I just want to use it in Fresco. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to add that to a library, to my personal branding library. Here in the Adobe tools, you have that in Illustrator, in Photoshop, and basically all tools, you have access to your libraries. And as you see, I already have some elements inside, you know, some gradients, some colors, images, and I want to add this little like scribble arrow. So I add it. It's not a name. I will name that arrow. Cool. And then I will go back to Express. And we'll go to libraries here. And then I will look for my personal branding libraries. As you will see in a second, I have a lot of libraries basically for all kind of projects. I create like a separate one so that I have everything in a folder and no mess and the less chaos possible. Sometimes I even like invite other people to the library. I'm just going to reload
and
it.
you have access from all of your apps. So this
exactly.
Is
this
cool.
is, I think, pretty helpful because otherwise I would have need to find like the arrow where I put it, maybe export it again from Fresco. So I think I will just reload the project a little bit.
As you know, we are live, so
we are live.
But maybe in the meantime, I think maybe you're coming to that. Regarding your own branding, can you also import your own fonts? I think that was a question from the chat.
That's a great question, actually. And this is what I have done.
Okay.
So I can show you. Because I am using the Pangea font and the Baskerville. Both in all my posts on my website. And the Pangea font is not here in the Adobe Express, so I just upload it, which is not a problem. You can do that either through your branding elements or here, if you click on the typography element, and then right now there's the bell for it. We definitely need to change that. And here, as you can see, Patricia Reiners, this is the branding that I already created, and here's the Pangea font. So I can just choose it. And then it will change. It takes a little bit. I think like the Wi-Fi is a tiny bit slow. But in the meantime, have a look at this. Plus add fonts, and there you can just upload your own fonts that you bought. So I personally buy a lot of fonts from like different type foundries and just play a little bit around with it. This is also like my graphic design background, so you can do the same.
Yeah, and you also have access to the 20,000 fonts, I think, from the Adobe Fonts library.
Exactly, and I think this is pretty cool just to get some inspiration. Maybe you are at a point where you want to create your branding, maybe you haven't started yet and you need some inspiration. I think it's a really nice place also to really get started and see what kind of fonts are out there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm pretty curious for everyone who's listening who already has a branding. So typography, colors, maybe you can just write in the chat.
And Matthew in the chat asked if there's a way to have people at your company use Adobe Express without a license. Yeah.
Also, really good question. Because the cool thing with Express is that you don't need a license. So you can get started without a Creative Cloud subscription. Some features are only available for the for the subscription, but most of the features are available without subscription. So you can use it completely for free. So if you want to get started, just use the web version and
And you can also save the assets of a branding and share a link to the people of the company so they can use it themselves then.
Exactly. And this is, I think, like pretty cool. As you can see here are all my recent posts. So all the recent posts that I created. So I just reloaded everything and can get back to my design here.
There are already a few answers in the chat on your question if the people also have created their own branding. And yeah, some of them, Gunda says, I have made my own brand elements in Express. And Trina Brennan says, I just applied for my logo.
Cool. The cool thing is, I don't know who of you have already tried it, but you can even create your own logo with Adobe Express. I think this is pretty nice. So something you should definitely have a look at. If we have time, then I am definitely going to show that. So my top 3 insights from Max. Cool, I changed the typography to the Pangea. This is the font that I'm using for my branding. Cool, pretty nice. So I will go to the libraries, personal branding. And here, as you can see, there are a lot of assets already, but I'm going to use this one. Just click on it. And as you can see, this is top 3, could be something like that. I really like the handwritten kind of style. I think it looks really cool. So I tried to integrate it here and there. Nice.
And Patricia, maybe there's also a really interesting question, and you are like the professional sitting here. So Ekin says he hasn't tried Express yet. He designed YouTube thumbnails on XD before. So would that be a practical way also, because it seems handy and more practical and a fast solution?
100%.
Okay.
100%. This is also my way, right? So I started with Adobe XD, and as you can see, you can put all your assets in a library and then use them in Express. What I did, and I just added another thing to like my personal branding library, and I want to show you a really cool thing. Yeah, totally. You can add basically any kind of designs or any kind of formats, right? So for example, I'm going to show that in a second. So I want to add an emoji here. So I just drag and drop this from my assets panel, and I can remove the background. So once I selected that, and I don't want like the blue background here, right? So I click on it and automatically, okay, this looks really nice. And so I remove the background. Of course, I could do it in Photoshop, but to be honest, like I don't have time for that now. So I will just do that with one click, which I think is pretty cool. Now coming back to the YouTube thing, right? Because now I created the story, but the thing is that most of the times you want to create more assets, right? So you want to have a story, you want to have an Instagram post, maybe YouTube, maybe Facebook. So what I'm doing is I'm just duplicating the page. And I have two of them now. You can switch between them, one or two. And then I'm clicking on resize and I'm choosing a different format now. So for example, a LinkedIn blog post is something where I am most active, pretty cool. And now I have the chance to just rearrange a little bit and think how I really like it, maybe a little bit bigger. So I just change some things here. And yeah, it doesn't take too long, which I think is like super, super practical, that you really save a lot of time, right? Yeah, so you can do that the same with like YouTube thumbnails. Yeah, basically everything. Okay, cool. Nice. Something like that. Okay.
The emoji is great.
I like that, right? Okay, let's see, maybe something else. Or resize, Snapchat. I'm not really on Snapchat, but here you could also like, of course, add some like print products. Not in my case, but yeah, maybe in yours. Also an Instagram post, a little bit bigger, I think would be nice. Also, and then you can just adjust everything. Cool.
And I think there was a question also in the chat of how you can export or save these pictures. Do you have some like PNG, JPEG?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So you can just download them, click here on the download button, and then you can choose what you want. Can be PNG, can be JPEG, PDF. Yeah, and then you just have everything there. Can transfer it to your phone and then add to your calendar. So you will just download it. Cool. First of all, here, when you click on that, all the posts that we created, this is like something for a reel, for example, or for a story. This would be something for LinkedIn, and there we have a post where we share something in the copy, for example, or where we create a slider post, for example, with more content. So we just download it, PNG, start download, and then it's here in my download section. When we go back here to the main page, we can have a quick look at the schedule function, which I think is pretty nice.
Yeah.
There you can add your social media account. So I linked my Twitter account, I linked Instagram, I linked Pinterest, and I think LinkedIn as well. And here you can see here's Twitter. This is what went live today, already published. Watch me live. And it also posts automatically. So when you add content there, it posts, especially on Twitter, things automatically, not on Instagram, but I think for the rest. So you can add your post there. Already scheduled a few things for Instagram that I know what I want to post, which I think is pretty helpful. But now we can also add some more posts, for example, today.
Can you also schedule videos?
Good question.
There was
I
a
don't
question
know.
in the chat. I'm also not sure.
I don't really know. I haven't done that so far. What I would do is, I mean, depends on what kind of format it would be. If it's like for YouTube, it could also be a link. So if you have like select files, and then you can go to download my project. Here, for example, you can upload it, and then you can also add a caption, right? That my learnings #Adobe Max.
The community also do really like the feature that you can add your brand elements and brand assets there.
Yeah, this is definitely a really cool thing. Maybe we can have a really quick look at that, because I know that this is super helpful, especially for people who don't want to spend too much time on content creation, but start with their branding and really build a very cohesive branding.
And also a question from Brooke in the chat. Is it possible to add multiple brand pages, for example, like 6 different LinkedIn pages? Or do you only have like your personal, like one account?
I think you just have one, actually.
Okay.
So I only linked one. I'm not sure if it's possible to link multiple. So that would be, why would you have multiple LinkedIn pages? For multiple clients?
Maybe for a brand, or for multiple clients,
I am not sure. Not right now, I think. Not that I know. So I only linked one. But I think it's a really good question. Definitely should have a look. But I actually don't know.
Yeah.
But what you can do is you can add multiple brands. So in case you have multiple brands, like this is, for example, like my personal brand, for all the colors, the fonts, and you have other brands maybe for clients, maybe for like some kind of like a sub brand that you have. Maybe you have like a different kind of format, a podcast or anything where you created your own separate brand kind of. Then you can add separate kind of brands and separate kind of brand elements, and also have access to them when you create posts.
This is pretty cool. And also, the chat really likes this. And maybe a last question. We have 2 minutes left. Do you know whether there's a maximum amount of brands you can save there? Or is it unlimitless?
I think it's unlimitless.
Okay.
So as far as I know, I created, I think, like 4 different ones for different kind of projects. And it's always possible to create more.
Okay.
And what is pretty cool, if we, for example, have a look at, just choose a random post, could be this, an Instagram post, there are a million templates, right? So I am one of those person who really love to get inspired, so I really like templates. I also like Pinterest or all those kind of platforms, or Behance, where you can really have a look at like other people, what they created, and then get some inspiration from it, right? Like use some things here and there, but still be cohesive in their branding. And I can recommend everyone to have a look at the templates. Just click on them and then really adjust the typography, adjust the colors, and you can do that on one click.
Play around and explore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think, and we're already it's
was
already
so
25 minutes. So thank you, Patricia, for these insights. And it's definitely worth trying this out, playing around with it. And that was already our last first takes of the community session. But we're back in 5 minutes with a Q&A with Tony from the Adobe Max in LA. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for also asking your questions. And it was great. Thank you, and
thanks for having me.
We're out, but stay tuned. Bye.